Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Vacation Station Travel and Leisure Show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Vacation Station right here on Big Blend Radio. And you know, every third Wednesday, we get to hang out with Cheryl Ogle. She's a world traveler, a travel advisor. She's the owner of the travel company Hey Wanna Go, because we all want to go and we want to go with Cheryl. She has like these annual cruises that she puts together. So we're going to talk about that at the end of the podcast because she has a thing about Christmas markets in Europe. So we'll touch on that later. But today she is joining us to talk about American river cruises. And this is really cool. We have some awesome rivers. Nancy and I, as we travel, actually have followed a lot of them. We followed the Colorado River, the Arkansas River, done a lot of the Mississippi River, which is like really, it's a primary river and the second longest river of the largest drainage basin in the United States. How about that? It's really a big deal, and it's a big part of history. And so she went on a cruise that Nancy and I are very jealous about. She's going to talk about Mississippi. She's going to talk about the Columbia and Snake Rivers. Nancy and I have just actually traveled along the Columbia River. We saw all the snow and ice that's going to make it beautiful for waterfalls. In fact, we saw frozen waterfalls. You're going to see them if you go. The Snake River goes through Hell's Canyon, and it's pretty cool because it also winds through Washington, Oregon, and Idaho too. And then she's going to talk about Ohio and the Mississippi rivers together because that's also a program you can do. So, we're going to get rivery. Welcome back, Cheryl. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's great to be here.
Hey, I love this that we're talking about river cruises of America because, like Natchez, Mississippi, when you look at photos of Natchez, Mississippi, the first thing you see are these old paddle boats, the paddle cruise, those steamers, and those
Yes.
river cruisers. This is iconic American history, and there's so many songs written about it, about that kind of experience. They used to have like old school gambling on board, like, they had like, you know, Texas Hold'em, I suppose. You're in Texas, but they were, playing poker on cruise ships. But this is way back when that weren't the kind of cruise ships we're taking now. And some people got thrown overboard at times, but that's not what's happening now, right? This is luxurious cruising,
Well,
right?
right. I mean, but I gotta say that would certainly add a whole new element, but I can't promise that anyone would or would not be thrown overboard. I've not witnessed that, but
And we could have a murder mystery cruise. And there
right?
you go. But I think that's so cool because when you think about the Mississippi River, you do go into thinking about like, Mark Twain's writings and things, right? Don't you kind of feel like this is iconic American, like an American passageway? So much
Exactly.
happened.
Exactly. And that, I
Mm.
mean, even if you just look at the fiction and Mark Twain on our river cruise, and it was down the lower Mississippi just over a year ago, there was a Mark Twain actor on board. And
No
he
way.
had, yes. And I tell you, one of the little servers in the dining room was talking to me and my sister, and she said, "Do you think that's the real one?" We said, "No, no, honey, it's not."
No.
But she was so cute because he was very convincing, although he would have had to be much older. But he told stories about his childhood and the times, and he was one of the entertainers, and he was fantastic. But really, if you saw him in the Safeway, you would think, look at that. Who is he?
Wow,
Um, but it
that's cool
adds to
though.
it. It just adds to the feel. I will
Mm.
have to say when I did this cruise, I usually go, 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 go. And so the first day I thought, oh no, this is way too slow for me. And what I learned was that it is a different pace.
Mm.
And I learned that you can sit and read a book and take a nap and actually vacation and relax. And
Mm.
so it was wonderful, but it did take me a little time to get out of my typical mentality of I've got to be doing something.
Yeah, Cheryl, I know you. I know you. You know this, but I know a lot of people who cruise, and one thing I hear all the time from different folks, and as people know, Nancy and I travel the country full time, but we also pet sit, and that's how we do our podcast, and we get to hang out with the animals, which we love. But a lot of people that we pet sit, guess what they do? They travel, and a lot of them are baby boomers, and they are cruising more. I mean, that's it. Cruise, 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 cruise. I know actually a couple that we're sitting for is actually going to do the cruise you're talking about today, Columbia River.
Okay.
Um, but going to the Mississippi and everything that you're talking about, this very laid back thing is actually the pace they want. And a lot of times they're going with friends and family. And what I've heard is they want their friends there. And, they they're playing cards on deck together. They're having this, like, they don't have to entertain in their home. And you know what I mean? You don't
Exactly.
have to have people come over and play fake house. We call that fake house. Nancy and I used to have a home and have people come in all the time. We'd have to throw things under the sofa and, clean up and throw
Fake
things in
house. That's
closets and
funny.
then you can't find it later. That's called fake house. But going on a cruise ship, from what I've heard from everyone, is like, we want our friends there or our family. And, people are playing cards on deck. And then if they want to go read a book, they do it. But like a river is, when you think rivers are this easygoing, laid back thing, and when you think about this river, the Mississippi goes, Minnesota down to New Orleans, and this is iconic history that you just kind of want to slow down. You're going south, and the
Hmm.
South does want to chill out, but I mean literally, especially in the
Right.
summer.
Well, and it's not a bad thing. It just took a little bit for me to get my head wrapped around, oh, this is what you do. And we met a
Mm.
lovely older couple who we've stayed in touch with. And I had a new grandbaby at the time. And so she went home and sent me several items that she had made, handmade
Oh
toys
wow.
and blankets. I mean, they were just precious. And so it turned out to be such an amazing treat, really. But it
Mm.
just took time to go, oh, this is slower. But that was good for me. But it is good for groups of people, and that was half of the fun, is the friends that we made on board and looking for them in the evenings, or making plans to eat dinner with them, and just enjoying relationships.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's about a slower pace. You don't have to cook.
Right,
Entertaining is taken care of. But what I wanted to ask you, because I know we're going to talk about, more cruises next month and everything, Europe, and I know you love your Europe cruises and you love Europe. But on these American cruises through the river, because it's actually, you rarely hear that much about it, honestly.
right,
You know how many travel writers we interview, and it's like cruise this, but you never hear much about the American river cruises. It's very,
right.
I think you're the only person I know who talks about it actually. And, um, on our shows. And what I wanted to know is, are you stopping off like you do on the Europe cruises? Like if you go with Viking or something, they always stop here and you have like little outings and excursions, like what you talked about last month. You talked about Alaska and Antarctica, like you get off and you have like a park ranger talking and those kind of things. On the river cruises in America, are we getting that same kind of experience?
Yes, absolutely. And that's what's really special about it is port intensive because you're not going far. So you might be going 40 miles down the river. I mean, technically if you missed the boat, it wouldn't be a big deal. You could probably Uber to your next port. They don't move fast, but I mean you of course want to make the boat, but just saying you're not moving that far. And so you're stopping at a new port almost every day.
Mm,
In that they're exclusive in that they do have some kind of activity planned for you. It might be a city tour. It might be, I noticed a lot had hop on, hop off. And
mm,
you can ride it for the whole loop, or you can say, oh no, we know where we want to get off if you've done some research. But otherwise, you're welcome to just ride it, enjoy the scenery, and return to the ship if you like, and spend the day on the ship, or get off and do some shopping, do some touring on your own. That
mm.
really makes it fun that it's not just about the boat, although the boat itself is pretty fun. Um,
Yeah.
they're special. The cabins everything's decorated like for the times. And so we were on one of the
Mm.
big paddle boats, and
Oh.
you just feel like when you're boarding, like people with you think gunslingers are going to come walk you to your cabin. They don't, but it is a whole different feel. It's charming. And
Mm.
we don't see charm a lot in travel often. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got to really get out in the maybe out in the boonies to see some charm. But that was something that really struck us, look how sweet this is and simple. Excellent food. They had prime rib every night, and oh, who can turn around prime rib? Um,
Mm,
that that really adds to it when you know that you've got good food that you didn't have to prepare. They're doing their very best to take care of you, and you're not having to do anything but make decisions on what time you want to eat dinner or what kind of excursion you want to do the next day.
yeah,
It
exactly.
simplifies it.
Exactly. I think there's something magical about it because, you get it's a slice of Americana. If we in
Yes.
pie, you get American pie. Here you go. Uh-oh. Um, don't,
No,
I,
no, no.
I went there. I went to the
Focus.
food. I know, but think about it. I think about European visitors coming over to the
Hmm.
States and doing this too to understand America's waterways. The waterways are how things happened before we had rail. And then they were a huge part of rail history too, because, from port to port and then put it on a train and it would go across the heartland of America. But like the Mississippi does do the heartland. So, there's different cruises, right? So are there different cruise companies when you book something like this? Are we also saving money by staying in our own country?
You are. So there are different cruise lines. There are three major. I'm not going to name any brands or anything, but
Sure.
there are three major companies. One does the full Mississippi at once, if you like, or you can break it up. You can do the upper Mississippi, the lower Mississippi. You can do a back to back and combine those with other cruise companies. So there are a ton of options. It's not just, hey, I want a Mississippi River cruise, sign me up. It's not that
Mm,
simple. It's really about finding what works best for you. What is your budget? What time of year? Things like that, and what you really want to focus on. But one savings is that you're not buying a flight to Europe. And
mm,
those flights have gone up so much in the last 6 months, especially. But you're
mm,
saving so much in that. So
mm.
that's a huge savings right there, in that you're staying in your own country. Secondly, is that most river cruise companies, U.S. river cruise, you're always recommended to arrive the day before the cruise, but they're including one night hotel. And so they want you to come in a day early and
Oh,
explore that
that's
area.
cool.
And yet they've
Oh,
got the hotel. We were in an amazing hotel in Memphis called the
mm.
Peabody. And if you've been to Memphis, you're familiar with the Peabody and the
The
parade, the
ducks.
duck parade. Yes, the ducks. And so that's included in your river cruise with one of the companies. And so to go have that experience, that just sets the pace right there. And you can go
Mm,
explore Memphis and, Elvis and all of that. So there's a lot to do. So that really, I feel like, is a big savings, making it a good value, in that
mm,
that's already included. They want you there a day early. It gives you a little bit of leeway in case you are delayed. Flight delays do happen,
mm.
but um,
Well,
yeah,
speaking of
that's
Americana, Memphis rocks, man. You have Sun Records, you have Stack Records, Stacks. You've got, I mean, there's actual hotels with listening lounges to listen to albums on vinyl, and they'll bring you cocktails in the listening booth with your friends. I mean, la di da style, you know.
wow,
So, like,
that's
Memphis
incredible.
rocks, and they have rooftop bars. So, like, I would go in a few days early. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, and
yeah.
their
Memphis
hotels,
really is incredible. It offers a
yeah,
lot. There's
if
so
if you
much to
like
see and do.
Americana, in other words, like the jazz and like Beale Street, all of that, and you love
Hmm.
music, this is a music city, and um, and I want to go and hang out there. Now, the rivers you talk about the Ohio River too, and connecting that as kind of like a package, right? You could do the two together or the Ohio River. Tell us about that part. I know I've been there.
There,
I've been to Ohio. I know that.
there are so many options that really we could sit down. If I sat down and spoke with a client, we'd say, okay, where you could start at one of these places. You could cruise this. How long can you be gone? What is your budget support?
Hmm.
That one, there's so much. And I really, until I started looking at US river cruises a couple of years ago, I had no idea there were that many rivers in that area. Only because I've never lived in that area. I've always been in the Southwest and everything. So
Yeah,
it was, I'm from drought. I'm a desert rat, and so then to look and see these rivers and the water that they have in those states, it's incredible. Um, yeah,
it
that's
is. It's beautiful. Number one, the Midwest, like
Mhm.
Ohio, is lush and
Yeah,
green with prairies, with all kinds of birds and wildflowers and just
yeah.
rolling hills and barns. It's like iconic, right? And so many artists come from the Midwest and paint that. And it just that whole it's just beautiful. And the waterways are just stunning. And to be able to float down a river, could you do like, if I called you up and said, Cheryl, I just want to cruise. I need like a cruising vacation. I want to take a month. Could you do like a cruising itinerary of like the rivers of America, like cruise? Could
Oh,
that happen?
absolutely. Yeah, if your credit card can handle it, absolutely, we can make that happen.
Oh, of course they can.
Yeah,
Just,
of
I,
course. We're
it's
dreaming.
endless.
No,
But
but you really can. And there's so much to see here in the US. And I have a client base that tends to be baby boomers.
mm,
And some of them are getting tired. I don't always like flying to Europe. I mean, I do it, but those flights get old. It can be nice to get on a plane and be where you want to be in 3 or 4 hours. And so what I'm noticing is that a lot of clients are saying we don't want to go do those long flights right now. They're they're tired of it.
yeah. Yeah,
And
actually,
maybe we'll go
I
back to
have
it
friends
later.
like
But
that. I have
yeah.
friends like that. Like actually, just even sitting in one place hurts their back.
Hmm.
And they have dream places they want to go, and they're like, you know what? I don't think I can. And
Right.
it just everybody's different.
Right.
And so this, and you don't have to have a passport, right?
Exactly. That's the other thing. And although passports are coming back a little faster these days, you
Nice.
still have to, right. I had a client call the other day saying, well, we don't have his passport and we're not sure if his birth certificate is truly certified or if it's a copy of one. We don't know. And they're
Oh,
checking with parents, but you think that's a delay for traveling internationally for sure. And so they've
mm,
got to get all their paperwork in order. With this, you don't. You need a government ID to fly and to board the boat, and that's it. You're
mm.
good. So it does really simplify it a lot. And I'm seeing that I think a lot of us are ready for a little more simple experience.
I
And
think
until
after
once,
COVID, we all went crazy.
yeah,
Everybody's like book, 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 and then it's like, okay, I need to chill out and have an easier. And from what flights can be like you were talking about, it's harder, and sometimes some people just drive and get on the boat, right? I
yes,
want to talk about the Columbia River and the Snake River. So Hell's Canyon is some crazy terrain. Like Snake River, we did the Hell's Canyon Scenic Byway recently, and
okay,
I've actually done it all. I don't know if it goes into Washington, but basically we have followed this river everywhere. Waterfalls,
okay,
all of it. It goes through high desert of Oregon, and the
hmm,
scenery is drop dead mind blowing because you
wow,
go from that rugged, like almost Texas kind of style from the
okay,
southeast part, and people whitewater raft part of this, right? And then all of a sudden it's just like lush and beautiful and green. So it's a I mean the rivers go through all kinds of terrain, and that's the beauty about taking a cruise. And you're in the middle. I love to kayak and canoe, and when you're on the water you have this whole other perspective of places. And you're actually closer to the wildlife that way if you love birding and everything. This is a really cool way to see it. And the Columbia River, like we just drove that in the ice and snow.
hmm,
And like I said, we saw frozen waterfalls, and I know people are going. These cruise ships, from what I understand, stop and you can do some of the most iconic waterfalls that Oregon has. And Oregon is known for waterfalls. There's even like a whole trail of waterfalls that you can do according to bed and breakfasts and stuff.
really,
So I think this is the coolest way because I would have done anything to park the car and just get on a boat and have someone take me. But this is all the weather we drove through this year. This year is going to be off the charts for people going in that region. It is going to be the best waterfall season. It's going to be massive. This year is going to be huge. You need to do it
Wow.
this year, you know.
I have not, I've actually never been in Oregon.
Oh, you must. It's
I know,
beautiful.
right? That's on my never have I ever list. And
Mm,
I've got to get there because I've seen it, it just looks incredible.
mm.
The beauty and they say it's just ever changing along the rivers there.
The rivers, I mean, the forest that you go through, I mean, it's just, it's almost like a rainforest in a way, and a lot of them are kind of rainforesty. Like Washington State has rainforests, not far, like Olympic National Park has a rainforest. And so some of the parks in Oregon are like that, but where the waterfalls are, I mean, you just can't believe that this is, you think you're going to think you're in Europe. It is like Europe up here. Oh, we're not there anymore. Sorry. We're in Carson City today.
That's right. You've
When
moved
this
on, have
airs,
you?
I think we'll be in Texas when this airs. So we'll be in your country when this airs. But having just come through there this year with the snow and the ice and the winter, the waterfalls, I mean, when you go through these cliffs, these mountains are massive. I mean,
Mhm.
they're humbling, you know, and
Yeah,
so majestic. And when they talk about mountain magic, this is the area, this whole
that's the time.
Columbia and Snake Rivers. I'm just telling people this is the year that it's going to be huge. Don't wait. Do
Yeah.
it this year. It is going to be the best year out of the last few years to go on these
Well,
cruises because of the winter weather.
well, and you know, as you mentioned, you just drove through there, and
Hmm.
although you wouldn't want to do it in winter, but for people who
No,
don't want to drive it, this is a great way to experience it.
but that's the thing. You're going to float and you're going to get off, right? And like the
Hmm.
couple I know, they're getting off and they're going to all the waterfalls. The waterfalls have very accessible trails to get to. So you don't need to be an athlete getting off the cruise ship. You just get off and they take you there or whatever, right?
Right.
They deal with all that part, but I know that you can get to majority of these falls pretty accessibly. And you don't need to drive it, but it is just I can't tell you how beautiful it is. It is
Wow.
amazing. And it is something to our country should be very, very proud of this pristine, the the Pacific Northwest as a whole, Washington, Oregon areas,
Hmm.
and even Northern California are very sustainable. Like sustainability is like a huge deal,
Hmm.
especially out on the islands that we have in the Pacific Northwest. And so this way of travel, if that's bugging you, you're going, it's look at it as public transport, but with luxury. You know what I mean? And not being
Yeah,
stuffed at
that's a
it.
good way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good way of not putting all, you're worried about car fumes. This is, you're going together. But these, and as I understand, these cruise ships are not that massive either, right? So this is kind of like a small ship kind of cruise, right?
Yes. Yes. They hold, I would say most of them hold around 200 people.
Oh, that's perfect.
So you're not fighting crowds of, 10,000 people, not really 10, but I mean, thousands of people trying to get on and off. It is a
Mm.
much simpler process of going on and off. One thing I will mention is that with that in mind, they're not as accessible as the larger cruise ships because you are going off on a gangplank, and so it can be you may be holding on
Okay.
to ropes, walking down the gangplank kind of thing. So it's
Oh,
something
cool
to
though.
take. Right, it is cool, but you do need to have some
And
mobility.
be
If you're
aware.
reduced mobility, it would be a challenge, and you might
Hmm.
find that you get on and it may be too frustrating or dangerous to get on and off at each port. So it's just something to keep in the back of your mind that um,
Mm.
there is a little different element boarding.
Mm. But I don't know the staff is helpful too. The
That,
cruise staff,
yes,
from what
absolutely.
I've heard, is really good. There's that one cruise I know that you like to talk about that connects like the Mississippi and the Ohio rivers that you can do like a round trip. So you're actually hitting some of the country's most iconic cities like Cincinnati and Nashville and Memphis, right?
Yes. So there's, I mean, really, if I were to put a road map up of river cruise options, I would love to just see everything in one map. You can just trace along and say, okay, pick where do you want to go? um,
Mm.
and find connecting points. So that's a tough question because there are just so many options. I know that's not very helpful,
That's
but
why people call you. I know, because there's like, yeah, like you're saying, it's like, hey, I'm coming in from Cincinnati. Where can I go? It could
right.
be that you're just cruising right out of your own backyard, you know?
Exactly. But really that is it. And it's something that we then take a look. Okay, let's see if you want to start, within 2 hours of your home. Let's look and see what we can find and look at different choices because
Mm,
there are countless choices. Really, I used to think, okay, well, it's just they do the Mississippi and that's it. Well, it just has grown so
mm,
much, cruising on the rivers because of popularity. These
mm.
ships are filling up, and I know every cabin on our ship was filled, and that
Oh.
was December, just over a year ago.
Mm. Speaking of that, let's talk about you've got this Christmas cruise coming up, right? This is your annual gathering group. But you do more than one a year, group
We do.
adventures. But tell us about this one coming up, because you got to go now. You got to do it now,
Right.
right?
We are booking right now, and cabins are booking pretty quickly. So it's called the Enchanting Rhine and Yuletide Markets River Cruise, and it is round trip Cologne, Germany. You could fly into Frankfurt, or you can do. I'm looking at starting. May I'm not quite sure yet where I'm going to start. Maybe Brussels, maybe Amsterdam. Rail is so good through Europe that you could go start in another city and then take the train to Cologne for in time for the cruise. And then after the cruise, if you wanted to see yet another area, you could. That's kind of what we're looking at with different options for what people are interested in. But you right now we're booking, and it will.
Mm.
I've got special pricing through the end of February, and I have all of that in my blog and on my website. But
Okay.
it's going to be fun. That I mean, Christmas in Germany, the Christmas markets, I found them magical when I was there. Austria, it was snowing when we were in Vienna, and it's snowing lightly. It was not freezing, blowing awful. It was just lovely. It was just iconic.
Mm.
Having the big snowflakes fall, and you're walking around a Christmas market, watching ice skaters, and drinking hot chocolate and everything. It just sets the mood for sure. But this cruise is the 6th through the 10th, the 5th
Mm.
through the 10th. We cruise the
And
6th through the 10th. We'll depart the U.S. by the 5th. And so it's going to be a special time. And I've already got some people who have committed to going, and they were on last year's cruise. And that makes it fun too, is that it's a great way to make new friends, whether
mm.
you're traveling as a solo traveler or grabbing a sister or a friend, or just whatever works, and come make new friends.
I
We all had so much fun together, and we our age ranges, they were from 32, goodness, 32 to late 70s.
oh, that's
I think we
awesome.
even had one gal, I think she was pushing 80.
Oh,
But everyone had so much fun together. So I can't say it enough. Come join us. We have a blast on our groups. So
I love that. I love that. And we talked about the Christmas markets when you came back, and even midway last year, we did Christmas in July because it's exciting. I mean, that's something unique and iconic. And the most important thing with you going to Germany is that everybody has, Black Forest Gâteau, the most delicious cake on the planet.
yes.
I, I had to bring that up because there's no way you're coming on the show without talking
I
about food. And when it's Christmas season, you get real hot chocolate, European drinking chocolate, and that is a whole other thing. Swiss Miss, move over. This is
Oh,
not Swiss Miss. This is not
this
it.
is not
And
Swiss
I'm not
Miss.
knocking Swiss Miss, little Missy, but
No. No,
I'm
but it
just
is a
saying,
little different. And if you want to splash of Bailey's in it, they have that too for a little
oh,
extra warmth. So
we're coming. Now,
plenty of
oh, and
options.
and don't they do the Glühwein thing, the hot wine
They
thing? And
and that is a very, very popular drink. It's not for me because I'm not a wine lover, but um 99% of everybody else loves it, and that's more power to them. So the point
we're
is to get a
there.
warm beverage in your hand in a ceramic mug that you can keep, or you can turn back in and get your deposit back, and just wander around and enjoy the
Mm.
sights, the sounds, the smells. It's just so festive. So come
I
join
love
us.
this. This is so cool. So river cruising America's, just amazing, it's the Niles of America. That that's how I look at it. Like especially the Mississippi is a Nile of, they say that about the Colorado River too. To experience America this way and true Americana is something unique and it just sounds so much fun to do, whether you're doing the waterfalls or really doing, the Mississippi River. I mean, who doesn't know about the Mississippi River? It was in all our school textbooks. I don't care where you are in the country or around the world. We know about the Mississippi River. So, I think I want to do that. That to me is, sailing through history, and,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I want a corncob pipe now. I don't know why. I just do, but I don't do that, but now I do. Now I want
But
to.
maybe I do.
Uh, I know. Maybe I do just for that fun time. But everyone, heywannago.com is Cheryl's website. She's got a great blog on there, and I encourage you to follow her on Facebook under Hey Wanna Go Travel as well. And keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. Cheryl is here every third Wednesday. Thank you so much, Cheryl.
Thank you. Safe travels.
You too. Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's Vacation Station Travel and Leisure Show, brought to you by Big Blend Magazines. Keep up with us at bigblendradio.com or blendradioandtv.com. Happy travels!